Hello everyone, myself Apurva Singh Katiyar, Assistant Professor, FJS Rama University, Kanpur. Today I am going to give an introduction to Transfer of Property Act 1882. The Act came into force on 1st of July 1882. The Act mainly talks about two important words. Those words are transfer and property. Transfer means when moving something from one person to another person, while property can be movable property as well as immovable property. However, the Act mainly talks about transfer of immovable property, but from section 3 to section 37 of the Act, it also talks about general principles relating to transfer of movable property. As when we come to the preamble of the Act, it says that the Act would be dealing and amending the laws related to transfer of property by Act of Parties. Now, what is Act of Parties? For that, we have to discuss the types of transfer. There are mainly two types of transfer. Transfer inter vivos and transfer non inter vivos. Now, by inter vivos, it means by Act of Parties, and in inter vivos, it is required that both the parties should be living at the time of transfer. By both the parties, we mean here is transferor as well as transferee. So, in this, transferor as well as transferee should be living at the time of transfer. So, it is called as transfer by Act of Parties. An example of it could be sale, lease, mortgage, etc. While transfer non-inter vivos is when it is done by operation of law. Here it is not required that both the parties should be living at the time of transfer. Example of it could be inheritance, will or court order, etc. Before 1882, the non-inter vivos, that is transfer by operation of law, was governed by personal laws because it was related to inheritance, will, court order, etc. While there was no other law governing the transfer by Act of Parties, as since there was no law relating to transfer by Act of Parties, so the court used to resolve the issues related to it by applying the principles of equity, justice and good conscience. But at that time, courts were headed by English judges, so they used to apply the principles on the basis of their interpretation, and those interpretations were sometimes contradictory to the conditions prevailing in India. So the need arose with respect to enacting a law related to transfer of property, which deals with the transfer of property by Act of Parties. Hence came this Act, Transfer of Property Act 1882, on 1st of July 1882, which came into force. Another reason for enactment of this Act was that the code of contract was incomplete. In contract relating to transfer of property, not only the property is transferred, but also the interest involved in the property is also transferred. So, in order to complete that transfer, it is required that property is transferred to the other person, and for that purpose, Transfer of Property Act was required. Then we come to the modes of transfer mentioned in the Transfer of Property Act. Then the Act talks about modes of transfer. Since the Act is based on the transfer relating to the Act of Parties, so it has given 6 modes of transfer. First mode is sale. Here, the property is transferred on the basis of consideration. That consideration could be past, present or future. And for that consideration, it is not required to be adequate. Even if the consideration is inadequate, the property would consider to be transferred. But the Act says that the section related to sale in the Act says that when the property has been transferred on the consideration of rupees 100 or less, then it is not required that the registration should be done. But if the consideration is above rupees 100, then it is required that sale deed should be registered. The another mode of transfer is mortgage. In mortgage, what is done when mortgager transfers the property for as a security for purpose of repayment of the money which he has taken. So here not only the property is transferred, but also interest in that property is transferred. Then comes lease. Lease is when a person pays certain amount of money for a certain time period to enjoy a particular property. That is called lease. While charge is, the fourth mode is charge. Now there is a minor difference between mortgage and charge. Charge is when property is transferred as a security, but difference between mortgage and charge is that in mortgage interest in property is also transferred, but in charge interest is not transferred. The fifth mode is gift. Gift is when a person transfers a property without any consideration. That property is transferred out of love and affection. That is called gift. While exchange is when a person transfers his property in exchange of another. That is called gift. There is no consideration in terms of money. Then the important thing which is required for transfer of property is the definition part. So when we come to the definition part, section 3 of the Transfer of Property Act talks about the definition. First one here we are going to discuss is the definition of immovable property. Now section 3 of the Transfer of Property Act says that immovable property does not include standing timber, growing crops and grass. Now the definition given under section 3 of the Act is not clear, as it only excludes these three things. It excludes standing timber, growing crops and grass. Then in order to understand the definition of immovable property, we have to move to General Clause Act 1897. In that, in clause 26 of section 3, it says that immovable property includes land, benefits arising out of land and things attached to the earth. Now the definition of immovable property is so incomplete in both the acts that it is required to be read together. As the section 3 of the TPA talks about standing timber, growing crops and grass not to be included in immovable property, while General Clauses Act says that land, benefits arising out of land and things attached to earth would be included in the immovable property. But what are things attached to the earth? This term has been defined in section 3 of Transfer of Property Act, which says that things attached to the earth would include things embedded on the earth, things attached to what is so embedded on the earth and things rooted on the earth. Now here we need to discuss the definition in detail. Now first we'll discuss what is land. Land is something which is upon the surface of the land, which is below the surface and which is above the surface. Example of it could be, upon the surface would be the soil, mud, etc. Below the surface would be river flowing below the land, that is below the that is the river, etc. Or the underwater minerals, that would be under below the surface. Above the surface is the space above the land to the limit of the sky, that would be above the surface. Then what is benefits arising out of land? Suppose a person transfers a property which consists of a forest. So when he transfers the property which has a forest and the forest has rivers, trees and minerals. So the benefit arising out of that land would be the trees, minerals and river. So these are also immovable property. Then what is things attached to earth? Now according to section 3 of Transfer of Property Act, these things attached to earth means things embedded on the earth. What are things embedded on the earth? Those things which are so firmly attached to the earth that they cannot be separated. Example, they are walls, houses, buildings. They are so firmly rooted and attached on the earth that they cannot be separated. Now what are things attached to what is so embedded on the earth? Things attached to what is so embedded on the earth would be the doors and windows. Now the most important element here is only those things could be things attached to what is so embedded when it is attached for the beneficial enjoyment of what is embedded on the earth and it is permanently attached. Example would be doors and windows. How? Doors and windows are attached to the buildings and houses for beneficial enjoyment of those buildings. So these are things attached to what is so embedded. What are things rooted on the earth? example is trees. So not all trees are things rooted on the earth. The exception of it comes under section 3 of Transfer of Property Act, as section 3 defines TPA as the immovable property as not including standing timber, growing crops and grass. So things rooted on the earth would be including trees. The exceptions of things rooted on the earth would be standing timber, growing crops and grass. So what is standing timber? Standing timber is that those trees which are used for the purpose of being made as wooden furniture, doors, etc. So those are standing timber. The reason behind is the purpose of growing those trees is to be cut down at some time and being used. But the fruit bearing trees such as the mango tree or the apple trees, these trees would not be in the standing timber, as the owner of the tree has the intention to gain the profit out of the fruits and not by cutting down the trees. While mango tree is an exception, as it is the woods of the mango tree is also used for making wooden furniture, while it also bears fruit. So differentiation could be made on the basis, if the intention is to cut down the mango tree, then it would be standing timber. So it would be movable property. While if the intention is not to cut it down then and to enjoy the benefits of its fruits, then it would not be standing timber and it would be immovable property. Growing crops. Crops, that is crops of barley, wheat, etc. Those are grown for the purpose of being cut down at a certain point of time. Those will be movable property and not included in immovable property. While grass, the only purpose of grass is to be cut down, to be eaten by cattle, etc. So it would not be immovable property. It has to be cut down at certain point of time. It would be movable property. So this was the definition of immovable property, which has to be read from section 3 of Transfer of Property Act as well as section 3 clause 26 of General Clauses Act. Thank you.